In the previous video, in response to the three questions here, I stated that Kostlo is not a genius, Kostlo's idea for feed burner could not have been stolen, and Kostlo never had a killer startup idea. If these answers surprise you at any level, you need to understand what a good startup idea is and what it is not. What we usually mean when we use the word idea is something short and simple that can be completely expressed in a few lines of text. Stories of entrepreneurship in our culture often depict an idea as a flash of genius that someone had at some specific point in time. But this mental model of an idea is terrible and will lead you to make bad decisions about entrepreneurship if you do not correct it. The most important thing that you have to understand is that a good startup idea is not a flash of genius. It is not something trivial that could be completely expressed in a few lines of text. It is not something that can be written down in a blog. A good startup idea is a completed jigsaw puzzle with many pieces. The founder's understanding of the history of a problem is an integral part of a good startup idea. Which solutions have been tried and failed? Why? And what could potentially work today? Because Kostlo had spent 6 years building web page spies at SpyOnIt, he acutely understood the history of the problem that RSS was trying to solve. This is why he could start FeedBurner to build RSS tools in 2004, at a time when VCs didn't even understand the RSS technology enough to invest in it. Co-founder relationships are an integral part of a good startup idea. Startups are team games. You cannot do everything alone. You will need co-founders who are strong in areas where you are weak. You will also need your co-founders to be fully committed to the startup, and you will need to have deep and trusting relationships with each other. It took Kostlo, Steve, Matt and Eric 2 failed startups and many years before they could develop enough trust in each other to be effective co-founders. If Kostlo did not have his co-founders, FeedBurner would not have existed, and we would not be discussing it, no matter how good the idea of FeedBurner was. You will also need relationships with advisors and investors who understand the space well and trust you enough to spend their time and money on you. In Kostlo's case, Portage VC invested in FeedBurner not because they were bullish on RSS tools, but because they trusted that Kostlo and team had been through the startup journey twice before and would be able to pull off a good outcome for everyone this time. Had Kostlo not had a prior relationship with Portage, FeedBurner would never have existed. Kostlo and team had also learned a lot about hiring and organization building in their 3 failed startups. A key reason why SpyOnIt failed was that they did not hire well and did not know how to structure the organization to run like a well-oiled machine. Kostlo has also claimed elsewhere that SpyOnIt could have become a billion-dollar company if they knew how to build a better organization. One of SpyOnIt's competitors did end up with an acquisition for $360 million, so Kostlo's claim is not fantasy. Again, if Kostlo and team did not know how to hire and build an organization, we would not be discussing FeedBurner. Also, note that it is the founder who brings all the other pieces together. Kostlo himself is central to the idea of FeedBurner. No one else could have brought all the jigsaw pieces together to build FeedBurner. This is why no one could have stolen Kostlo's idea, because stealing his idea would have meant stealing this entire jigsaw puzzle, not some trivial concept that can be completely expressed in a few lines of text. Therefore, in this framework, a good startup idea is the sum total of a founder's capabilities. It is a summary of the life the founder has lived so far and the risks that they have taken. VCs have a name for this concept. They call it founder market fit, a term that asks whether you are the right person to pursue this opportunity. Have you suffered the market's pain yourself? Do you feel that pain in your gut? And do you have the wherewithal to build the organization that can bring a solution to life? The founders are such a key piece of the jigsaw puzzle that VCs don't invest without a firm belief in the founders. VCs may love the product, the market, and the apparent idea, but will usually not invest if they don't have a steadfast belief in the founders. If you get a chance to interact with someone at a VC fund, ask them about the many cases where they did not invest in a startup with a great apparent idea because they didn't believe that the founders were committed enough, or where the founders did not gel well enough and they could sense a conflict, or where one of the founders had a bad reputation, or where the founders had already diluted too much or had an early strategic investor, like Costco had in the case of DKA. I'm going to say it again so you remember. A good startup idea is not something trivial that can be completely expressed in a few lines of text. A good startup idea is a completed jigsaw puzzle with all these pieces assembled. This is why no one can steal a good startup idea. This is what Mark Zuckerberg meant in The Social Network when he told the Winklevoss twins, if you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you would have invented Facebook. Zuckerberg meant that he had the entire jigsaw puzzle assembled and could build Facebook, while the twins had not completed the jigsaw. What the twins had was trivial. Notice that in our discussion so far, I have been talking about a good startup idea. Let's also address bad startup ideas in our next framework, which I call the Idea Vortex. Hey there, I'm KJ Saxena, founder of Relentless VC. The video you just watched is part of the Venture Capital and Entrepreneurship specialization, which is available absolutely for free on relentless.ventures. Go check it out. If you're a tech startup founder and want to raise money from us, you should apply on our website. Lastly, if you like this video, do subscribe and share it with your friends.